Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Cruz and welcome back to another video. In this one, we're going to answer your frequently asked questions about the Line 6 HX Stomp. Ooh, okay, so that video is a little bit cringy. Let's make a new one. Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Cruz and welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to give you my updated answers to some of the more frequently asked questions that I was getting back in 2019 regarding the Line 6 HX Stomp. You guys know the deal. Please do all of the things to help this channel grow. Like this video, comment and subscribe below, and be sure to hit the bell icon so you get an alert every single time I upload a video. Without further ado, let's get started. I was on YouTube one day and all of a sudden this video popped up, this frequently asked questions video. It looked terrible. I looked kind of terrible, but you know what? I'm proud of the video still. It turns out it was recorded and uploaded on March 2nd of 2019, so it's literally its anniversary. So I think it's time to discuss some of those questions again and give you some of my more updated answers. So let's go back to 2019 and hear the very first question. Which impulse responses should I buy? Believe it or not, I don't get that question nearly as much as I used to. I think because IRs have become a lot more popular within the last couple of years, people have begun to understand that how necessary they are, and therefore they've educated themselves a little bit more on how they are made, number one, and number two, how, which ones will work for them. The amazing thing about IRs is that it gives you the opportunity to tap into a speaker cabinet that you would normally never have access to, or that you normally do have access to but can't necessarily use, specifically with products like the Line 6 HX Stomp. See, something like the Kemper, you can profile the amp and ultimately what the amp sounds like coming out of the cabinet. But with the HX Stomp, you kind of have to work with what they give you. Personally, I don't think that the HX Stomp was going to be something that I could use every day like the way I use it now if it weren't for the ability to load in external IRs. I'm still using an IR pack by Live Ready Sound, more specifically their A-Type 2x12. It was recommended to me and I kind of jumped into it blindly, not really realizing, or really to be honest with you, caring too much about what they said it would sound like. They apparently use Mesa Boogie 2x12 cabinets, and I wanted to stay in that world of 1x12 or 2x12. Though I like the warmth and big sound of a 4x12, that's not what I was using at the time, and it's not what I would be using now regardless. I'd probably be using, some sort of Fender combo amp. So realistically, that's what I was craving and that's what I wanted to hear. And so that's the kind of IR pack that I wanted to go after. I kind of got a head start because someone actually told me to buy this particular pack. And I gotta tell you, within the first 10 minutes of loading the IRs into the HX Stomp, I was sold. They immediately changed my mind and transformed all of the sounds that I had created using the HX Stomp. I will say this, the HX Stomp doesn't make it easy to load IRs in. I felt like, I don't remember exactly how I did it, but I remember I had a hard time doing it, and almost to the point where I almost gave up on it because it was a little difficult to figure out. But once you got it figured out, it's an easy process, and to be honest with you, I don't think you have to go through every single IR within the pack to realize that you're going to find one that you're going to love really, really quickly. As you may have noticed, I've been breaking down my sounds here on this channel through my How I Use It series, and so I am going to be covering the IRs very soon, so stay tuned for that. Okay, Cruz, sitting in that purple room, give me question number 2. How does the Line 6 HX Stomp really sit in a mix in a live situation? This actually was a great question because I didn't think that it would make a difference in terms of how it sat in the mix, but it absolutely did. See, back in the day when I made that video that kind of sparked this channel, that really fueled this channel up, which was a comparison video between the HX Stomp and the Kemper, I realized something when I was listening back to the tracks. I personally felt like the HX Stomp sat better in the mix. It could have been that I just dialed in a little more mid presence or something, but to be honest with you, I heard it sit in the overall mix a lot better. Now on its own, I've personally preferred the Kemper sounds at that time, but after hearing it and realizing, number one, it sounded very good, in fact almost better in a mix, and number two, I almost couldn't tell the difference once everything was going on, that one sounded better than the other. It was just a slight hair difference, and I'm pretty sure if I sat and worked on either one of those just a little bit, I could make them sound identical to one another. So for me, it was a no-brainer. The HX Stomp was so much less money and giving me everything that I needed and more, by the way. So I made the switch. Let's skip over to question number 3. How are you connected to the HX Stomp? Now, this question is a little easier to answer today versus back when I was using it in 2019. See, I had a much more complicated setup where I was integrating my pedal board and using the effects loop on the HX Stomp. I no longer do that. I've simplified my rig quite a bit, so I'll give you the quick breakdown. I use the Boss ES5 for my switching system, so I go straight into that with all of my drives and my compression. I then go out of that into the HX Stomp, and I still use my very same tones that I created all the way back in 2019. I Y split my signal into 2 different amps. I go back into one signal, which goes into one IR. I then go into the 10-band EQ. After the 10-band EQ, I go into my delays and reverb. It's a very simple setup, but I will admit it took me some time to really dial it in. Specifically, it took a little while for me to trust that I could use the HX Stomp's reverbs and delays because I was so adamant about using my own. But once I got into it, I realized they sound just as good, and for me the reverb sounded even better than the reverb that I was currently using at that time. I won't mention what the pedal was, but I'm sure if you do your digging you can figure it out. Now here's a little side question that I get a lot. Does the reverb sound better than, let's just say, a Strymon Big Sky? I don't know. I think it just depends on how much you're willing to dial it in. I think out of the box the Big Sky sounds better, but the great thing about products like the HX Stomp is they're so tweakable, and it really gives you the ability to dial in your sounds and tweak your sounds to your particular needs. Okay, J. Cruz of the past, hit me with question number 4. How do I tame some of that digital sound from the HX Stomp? All right, this is the question that got me in trouble because I ended up making a very bold statement that I think people kind of hated me for it, but at the same time began to understand how to approach their HX Stomp much differently once they heard my answer. I still believe this to this very day. If you have decided to go digital, whether you're using the HX Stomp, Helix, Kemper, Axe Effects, you must approach it differently. The biggest mistake I made when I turned on the HX Stomp was that I didn't make any sort of adjustment to my pedal board. I left it exactly as it was when I went into an amp. I was boosting my compression a little too much. I was pushing my drive pedals too much. Essentially, I was pushing the signal in the HX Stomp too hard, and I was getting something called digital clipping. And unlike pushing tube amps, you're not going to get this like desired sound. You're going to get this sort of like fizzy digital fake gritty sound, and it wasn't good. So I realized I needed to change my approach a little bit, dial some tones a little bit differently in order to get the very best out of the HX Stomp. So if you want to know how to properly tame a digital sound on any product, not just the Line 6 HX Stomp, you have to approach it differently. Change your approach, change your mindset, and I guarantee you it's going to sound a lot better if you're willing to adapt to the product and not try to make the product always adapt to you. And really quickly, IRs. Trust me, use IRs. All right, J. Cruz of the past, give me the 5th and last question. Are you going to release or sell your presets for the HX Stomp? All right, I get this question way too many times. In fact, anytime I talk about my pedal board setup or I bring up the HX Stomp, I inevitably get this question. I currently do not have any plans to work on releasing patches or sounds as a whole. It's part of the reason why I've taken this time out to really break down each and every sound on my pedal board, including even the pedals and how I use them, so that you can follow along and recreate the sounds that I'm getting on your own versus depending on me to release them as some sort of pack so that you can buy or download. At this point in time in my career, I really want to focus on this channel and creating content and not creating patches, if that makes any sense. So I'm not releasing them, and I'm very thankful that so many people want them, but you're definitely going to be helping me and this channel grow if you follow along with the videos that I've been posting regarding how I achieve my sound. I guarantee you they're all coming. Before you know it, I will have gone through everything on my pedal board A to Z, and if you're following along, you'll be able to get my tones in no time. Well, that wraps it up. That was literally 2 years ago to the day. I can't believe it. I can't believe how much we've grown. I can't believe how much this channel has grown. I'm so very grateful for each and every one of you. For those of you who've watched that video, because there were quite a few views on that thing, thank you. I'm shocked, but I'm looking forward to the future for sure. If you made it this far and you've been watching all along, even since back then, then comment below. Let me know you've been watching, for how long you've been watching. I read all the comments. I respond to all the comments, so definitely interact with me. That's all I got for this video. Please do all of the things to help this channel grow. Like this video, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to hit the bell icon so you get an alert every single time I upload a video. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.